Today we're doing upper control arms with ball joints. 2011 Chevy Silverado, 5.3 liter, 4-wheel drive. We're also going to throw in a transmission, filter gasket change, fluid tap off, additive. We're going to start off with the upper control arm. 21 millimeter on these bolts here. I've marked the pins for alignment. There's a little pin. And we got an 18 millimeter on our ball joint there. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the nuts on both ends. Nut on the ball joint. And detach this ABS wheel speed sensor wire. Got the ball joint loose. No problem spinning that 18 mil off. The inner ball joint right up here wasn't spinning internally. Came right off. Tap this knob with a hammer, cut your wheel all the way to the side, and that'll get that ball joint to pop up. Hit it pretty hard, and that ball joint will pop out of that groove. Took the brake line hold down off there. Now it's time to get these nuts off. So I've marked them all right where their little pins go. Give them a little line with permanent marker. Use permanent marker, paint marker, something like that. All right, this is gonna be an easy one. Some models, the spring is in the way of the bolt coming out, so you actually gotta take the strut out or loosen it from the bottom, loosen it from the top, get it to move, or compress the springs in a way that you can get the bolt out. But this one, it's gonna let us get the bolt all the way out. Keep all your alignment shims here in order so they go back in the same spot. Take that bolt out, and then this bolt out. Already got the nut off. These ones came off easy. Usually you need a breaker bar or a long bar or something to get these nuts off. These were on pretty loose. We're gonna take that bolt out next and take the control arm out. Everything was going real smooth, but this bolt will not come out. So look at the new control arm. It's a big metal bushing in the middle. The bolt likes to seize up inside there. So what I'm gonna do is put some heat on this bolt. Get it nice and hot. Maybe heat up the control arm. I don't really want to catch that rubber on fire, but I'm gonna apply some heat and then work this wrench back and forth, get it spinning. Got my outside little cap off so it can spin easy if it does break free. So I'm gonna apply heat and start swiveling that wrench, see if I can get the bolt to break free from the metal inside the control arm. All right, my dudes, I heated it up. Still didn't want to budge. I look closely inside there and it is hella rusty. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my torch and be real careful. I already moved a wiring harness back behind here. And I'm going to melt all the way through this sleeve. Got my water bottle handy to spray it down. I'm going to try not to catch this plastic on fire up top. Just going to cut right through that control arm to get that bolt out. This is not something you typically have to do, but you might run into. Blasted a line through that control arm. There's a little groove in the inner bushing right there. Once you blast through, you can take a air chisel and split it open, and now this bolt is free. I think the easiest way to do it is to chop off both ends of the bolt, take the whole control arm out. You could pry these open a little bit with a pry bar, but you got to have that hardware ready to go. You can get it from the parts store, but if you're good with a torch, I did that on the fly. Open it up with a chisel bit, flat chisel bit. Now our bolt is loose and we can take it out of there and then take the control arm out. Control arm's out. I just think it's important to note Took my water spray bottle and sprayed everything up here with water before torching. Just got a cheap Dollar General water bottle so that nothing caught fire up there from all the heat. If you use a torch, those bushings are going to catch on fire. As soon as you pull your torch off, the flame gets higher. Have that spray bottle ready. I took my old hardware to the wire wheel, cleaned it up, put grease on them. That way they don't seize up again in the future for the next guy, next alignment. Then you can start your control arm in. It won't start easily. You can start it cockeyed and then start tapping with a hammer to get it started. Try to line them up with your holes as close as possible. Then I'm gonna put the bolts through and set the shims in their pins. All right, we got our marks lined up that I put on there previously. Oh, it's hard to see from this angle. It's lined up right with that pin. So I got a wrench on the inside and a wrench on the outside. I'm going to tighten it down, make sure those marks stay. Going to do that on both sides. Put the upper ball joint back through the hole, tighten it down. And that'll be it for the upper control arm with ball joint. Couple of last notes. If you let this steering knuckle come forward too far, your CV axle can fall out of its joint. Almost happened to me. And those joints only go in a certain way, so it's really hard to get them back on if they fall out. If you open up the boot, you'll see what I'm talking about. They fit in a certain way and then lock in. So you don't want that to happen if you can prevent it. And to tighten down this ball joint, if the stud starts spinning with your nut, because this has a nylon lock on the nut, a lot of these have like 10mm hexes on the end. This one doesn't. That way you can hold the stud still and hit a wrench on the nut. What I did is I just took my pry bar and put pressure downwards while I was turning the nut, and it grabbed. I'm going to put this brake line ABS wire on, and this side's all done.